iFILM, London. iFILM, London.
This is James Helder from iFILM London. I'm in Chislehurst today in the Mirage 2 restaurant to talk to Frank Maloney about the year 2012 regarding Frank Maloney Promotions. All right, Frank, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
Good. You come here often, Frank?
Yeah, our office is just over around the corner, and it's a nice place to sit and chat and drink a cup of tea. They've got Wi-Fi here, so it saves on the costs, and we sit here and do a lot of work.
Looking back on 2012, it's been a very successful year for Maloney Promotions. How did you see the year gone?
Well, it ended very successful. I wouldn't say it was very successful in the beginning. I mean, there was the decision where we lost our Sky contracts halfway through the year. There was a lot of uncertainty in the company, and there was a lot of as actually FTM Promotions went into receivership due to financial situations and contractual situations and investments in Olympians. But we pulled out of it. We regrouped. We took on new business advisors. We took on a couple of new investors, and Frank Maloney Promotions was formed. And the year finished very successful for it.
Looking back at the start of the year, them tough times, you must now, thinking back, it was quite a tough predicament to find yourselves in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, any business at the moment is going through a tough time, but if you've got a certain product or you've got a certain commodity or you've got a certain person and, you've got that sort of golden goose in your organisation, you can sort of survive. We were very lucky. I've got a lot of experience in the business, and I know my way around a little bit out there, and I know how to pick a good, decent fighter, especially a heavyweight. And as I say, touch wood, we've survived, and we're looking forward to 2013.
We've had some massive shows this year. Notably, most of them have been built around your big heavyweight, the golden goose, as you like to call him, David Price. How do you think Price has progressed this year?
I think David Price is the most promising fighter out there this year. If you look at all the Olympians from the 2008 Olympics that went pro, you've got to say that David Price is has ended up being the most successful one, though he had the slowest start and probably the problem. Excuse me one sec. No. Can I take my Soph? Oh, it's my daughter. So let her know where I am. I'll get back to her. If you look at who Frank turned pro with, who Frank Maloney turned pro with, who anyone else turned pro with, you look at the Olympians. 2008 hasn't been a great year for the Olympians turning pro. But you know what? Out of all of them, David Price, I mean, I've been very unlucky with two of them, and David Price has been the one that probably no one really showed a lot of interest in, has come through and really been the light, and has proven everyone wrong.
Do you think you've matched him right? I think people tend to forget that David's only had 15 fights. Do you think you've matched him right so far?
Well, I've got a great formula with heavyweights. I've got a great track record with heavyweights. People are going to say, "Oh, he's going on about Lennox Lewis again." But let's look at the other heavyweights I've had. Julius Francis, just an ordinary average fighter. He went on and won the Lonsdale belt outright, fought for the European title. Got a great payday against Mike Tyson. James Owabola, never won anything with anyone else. Came to me, became WBO champion and British heavyweight champion. Michael Murray? Not Michael Murray. Holden, an average fighter, won the British title. We've got great. John Ruiz was discovered by me. The Beast from the East was originally discovered by me. So, Luan Krasniqi also was discovered by myself, and signed pro by me. I know they had good amateur careers, but I guided them into certain positions in the heavyweight division. Big Larry, 9 fights, no losses under me. Joined someone else, knocked out the next fight against one of my fighters. John McDermott, the unluckiest fighter of... Well, it wasn't 2012. I forgot the year he got robbed against Tyson Fury, but still boxing. So we've got, and then there is obviously the Lennox Lewis story. He was handled the same way David Price is being handled, brought along the same way, and it proved successful. 15 fights. Times have changed. At certain weights, you can fight for the title. You could fight for the title after 10 fights, but would you win the title and be able to control the title and run it and do what the Klitschko's have done or do what Lennox Lewis done? They didn't fight for the title after 15 fights. Look at their records. They won a lot more than 15 fights before they fought for the world title. Unfortunately, some of the boxing fans out today are not proper boxing fans. They just want to see these fights. They've got no understanding of the business or the building of a fighter. And that's not knocking anyone because, you know, listen, if you look at football, I'm the worst critic about football managers, and I know nothing about football, but I'm always slagging off football managers, you know. So it's a natural human thing to do. But David Price is going along the right way. I will not change that format. I sit down with David, I sit down with his trainer, we discuss a lot of things, and we make a decision together on how to move forward.
I want to come back to David Price, but as well, I'd like to talk about some of your other fighters, notably Adil Anwar, again making great strides in the pro ranks.
Yeah, another one. I mean, I don't. All the credit's not due to me about Adil Anwar. He came to me about 3 fights ago, but since then he's been doing very well. He's with my good friend there up there in Leeds, Mickey. But you know, he's got the ethnic minority of the Asian community. He sells a load of tickets, and I think 2013 will be a big year for him as well.
Travis Dickinson, again, it's a very tough end to the year to him. Do you see him again coming up some big fights 2013?
Well, Travis Dickinson, that was a tragic, that loss, and he was beaten by a better man on the night. I'm not going to, you know, I was very impressed with the performance of
Bob Adjusay.
Bob Adjusay, and you know, I went in the dressing room after the Bob and had a chat with him. I think we may have all been a little bit overconfident with that fight, thinking it was an easy job. But in fairness to Travis Dickinson, he got cut in the first minute of that fight, a bad cut. The corner done a good job keeping him in there. He'd never been cut before. You could see him wiping his eye throughout the whole fight with his right hand. It was a learning fight, an experience fight. You know, and people know I'm not a manager or a promoter where one loss is the end of your career. I believe as long as you learn from that loss, we can bring you back and you will develop into a good fighter. Look at his brother, John Lewis Dickinson. The losses he had, a broken jaw, the worst cut eye you've ever seen. Came back from all of that and went on to win the British title, and is now the cruiserweight champion of Great Britain and looking for his first defence. You know, so to me, and I use that same analogy to Travis after the fight. What I did like about Travis was the way he took that loss. He took that loss personally and very bad and very bitter, and phoned me the next day and said, I want a rematch. But do you know what? Do I think we need a rematch? Certain styles don't suit certain fighters. You know, boxing's all about the clash of styles and making the right fight with the right person. So maybe we will never bother with that fight again, or maybe we will. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
A few things I'd like to clarify. Your Box Nation deal, is that solely dependent on David Price, or is that for all your fighters in the stable?
No, David Price is the only boxer contracted as a Box Nation. We have a number of dates for David Price. Obviously, the undercard is. I have not got many fighters that I can manage now. I don't think I manage too many. I've released quite a few fighters because, you know, when things changed in the boxing world, you had to sit down and restructure your business. And I saw what was happening, and I started releasing fighters out of contract. Started changing the way that I would operate in the boxing business, because if you don't change, you won't survive. So I changed to survive.
A lot of the Sky dates, it's been well documented, have been allocated to Eddie Hearn and the promotion company Matchroom Sport. What was your initial reaction to that news, if I can ask you that, Frank?
I was upset. I wondered why they done it. It was a business decision they done. Is it a business decision that is a good decision? Is it good for boxing? Only time will tell. The decision's been done there, so you just get on with life. You know, Eddie's got his route. Frank Maloney's got his route. Frank Warren's got his route. Ricky Hatton's got his route. Mick Hennessy's got his route. So we'll just go and we'll see who survives at the end.
Could you tell us a little bit about Loaded TV and what's going on with the link up there, Frank?
Well, I'm employed as a consultant to Loaded TV, which means that I can do some of my own shows on TV if I want to. I can work with other promoters or go around selecting good fights for Loaded TV. They're a great addition to boxing. We need more TV companies to be showing boxing. I mean, look, they showed a great fight the other week, Sam Webb and Brian Rhodes. No, it wouldn't have been on TV. And, you know, Loaded were very pleased with that. They made a decision on the Tuesday and they showed it on the Friday night. They acted very quick, took my judgment on that and were very pleased with the fight. And we will sit down in the new year and start looking at more fights. They're going to do a magazine program as well. So it's very, it's an interesting year for Loaded. Will it work? It'll work as long as Frank Maloney don't overspend the budget and keeps within a certain budget, so that they can see that, they're not just throwing money down a pit hole. Because, in boxing, if you want to make a small fortune, just start with a big fortune.
Just coming back to that Loaded TV show, I found it quite weird that they didn't have Brian Rose or Sam Webb doing the interview afterwards, after the fight. Cut straight to Tyson Fury. Thought that was quite strange. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was because of the time. But they did interview Brian Rose and Sam Webb, and I think they might show it at a later date, because they showed some of the undercard. We only had 1 hour live TV, and with the entrance that Steve Wood's done was quite a bit longer than a normal entrance, and the Tyson Fury interview was quite. He was there at ringside. They got a great interview with him, and he's topic. Most people want to see a result of a fight, and then if there's someone else that is a topic, I listened to Tyson Fury interview. It was quite good TV, So Loaded had a great fight, and they had an interview with one of boxing's characters and one of the young heavyweights of the future, as we're told.
I want to come on to the Tyson Fury subject a little bit now. I know you've made an offer to Hennessy Sports of £650,000. It's been well documented for Fury to fight Price. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, the offer was laughed at, so we since then sent him another email saying, Mick, if you think the offer is that small, let you and me sit around the table. Let's see if we can negotiate this fight and work out how we could make this fight work. And we left it at that. We've not heard nothing back. So we'll just see what happens. I know the board have put it out again, which I think may end up being a bit of a waste of time. Well, purse bids, but will it happen? They put it out for purse bids before, and Tyson gave up the belt rather than go through with the purse bid. Tyson might have a different route, a different plan. Managers and promoters plan routes and plans for their boxers, and if it fits in, you make the fight. If it doesn't fit in, you don't make the fight. You make the fight when you think the time's right. I think Tyson Fury and David Price should happen. Will it happen for a British and Commonwealth title? I hope so. If not, will it happen for a European title? Who knows? Will it happen for a world title? That would be the answer, wouldn't it? The two of them fight for a world title. It'd be similar to the Lewis and Bruno situation. So it's not dead in the water yet.
Do you think with the needle and so many the both of the fighters clearly deep down wanting the fight and so much being said, do you think that's adding to it and bringing more fireworks to what could be an absolute massive fight?
Well, controversy sells. We know that through David Hay and Chisora. So it will just keep hyping up till it finally happens or just drifts away. Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe was the most controversial fight out there. Things were Bowe questioned Lewis's sexuality. Lennox kept being the gentleman throughout the whole match. The fight never happened. That was one of the tragics of my career of handling Lennox Lewis. I believe I was good at negotiating fights. We made some fights that no one expected us to make, like the Holyfield fight with Don King. There was another fight we made that people, not top of my head, didn't think we'd make. But we couldn't make the Riddick Bowe fight because of Rock Newman. And then eventually, when Riddick Bowe wanted it, the fight wasn't worth any money.
Looking back on the year 2012, what would you say has been a highlight for you from a boxing point of view?
Selling out Liverpool Echo Arena, or just short selling it out with David Price, proving that he is now up there with the big names of British boxing, if not the top of the pack. There's not many fighters who could sell out a venue, sell over 7,000 tickets for a British title fight. Recently,
Golden Boy have signed a go-go. They're coming to the UK to set up. What's your thoughts on this? Firstly, of Golden Boy coming to the UK.
Well, no one can stop them coming. We had Luxembourg Federation come to the UK. No one could stop them. So you can't stop Golden Boy. But the British market is different to the American market. I look at Golden Boy. They're a business organisation through and through. They are probably a blue chip company of boxing. But have they ever guided a boxer's career from scratch to the top? I'm not sure. Do they know how to match their fighters right? Or do they match for TV? It's an art in what you do. We'll see what they do. I mean, they said they're only going to run 4 fights, so they're not going to give their fight. Well, obviously their fights are going to fight more in America, aren't they? They're an American-based company. They'll find the British market very hard and very different to the market at home in the USA.
London 2012, great for British boxing. Some of these guys, their futures are still up in the air. Some might go to Rio. Some are thinking about turning over pro. Have you had any thoughts of maybe plucking one of these gems?
Because of the market at the moment, not really. I like the heavyweight, Joshua. I'd sit down and talk to him. I've talked to a couple of others I won't name. We chatted. I explained to him there's no big signing bonuses like previously, like the 2008 situation. And they really didn't want to sign, so I've left it like that.
Looking ahead now for 2013, David Price is going to fight Tony Thompson, which I think is an absolutely massive fight, again in Liverpool. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, people are saying to me it's time I set David Price up, but as I said, David Price, I will make the fights that I think are right for him at the time of the time that he wants. I will make the fights for him at the what I think we're moving forward in what we're doing, and also fights that will cause excitement that the public love. Public want to see heavyweights knock out people. Forget all this that David Price needs to do 8 rounds, 10 rounds, 12 rounds. He's learning all that in the gym. If he can knock people out, why you don't get paid for overtime in boxing? If you can knock them out, knock them out. The most exciting fight was Mike Tyson. Why? Because everyone wanted to go and see him. George Foreman, because he knocked people out. Joe Frazier, people went to see him. Lennox Lewis, because he had a great right hand and could knock people out. If Lennox Lewis went 12 rounds, people say, what a boring fight. I remember the David Tua fight. I never had so many complaints and people phoning me up saying, well, how can you call that a world title fight? It was like a dancing contest, you know. People want to see knockouts. But when he's knocking out people, people moan. If he went the distance, they'd moan. He's in a no-win situation, David Price. I always told David, just go out. If you can knock him out, knock him out. That's what the crowd wants to see. Have we heard anyone boo him? No, we haven't.
How good do you think David Price can be?
I think he can be as... you judge heavyweights on what's around at the time. I think as he progresses and keeps learning, he will be the best heavyweight out there. He will sit on top of the pack and he will dominate the heavyweight division.
What would be, in your opinion, a highlight for 2013? Is there something you guys are aiming towards or something that you think would be massive for the company?
Well, I'd like to see David win the European title. I'd like to see him get to the mandatory position. As I said earlier, if I don't get David within striking distance of a world title or the mandatory position by the end of 2013, I have failed. So that's, you know, we've moved very nicely in the ratings. I think we're number 9 and number 8 in the WBC. We're ranked in the WBO, and after we beat Tony Thompson, we'll be ranked in the top 10 of the IBF because he is number 10 in the IBF, or when we beat Tony Thompson, I should say.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the other fighters coming again. Liverpool, Kevin Satchell, he's one, a great fighter people have been talking a lot about. What do you see him doing in 2013?
Well, he's the chief support at Echo. He's taking on young Luke Wilton from Belfast. Great little fight, 2 great battlers, you know. And I think, you know, Kevin Satchell, well, he's in a very hard fight. So if he comes through that, I think we've really got something. He looked the best out there. He looked one of the best young prospects out there last year, 2012. He finished strongly. He done Martin Powers in one fight. He done Chris Edwards. You know, so he's going forward in the right way. I would like to think that, you know, again, he will be in a position to fight for some major honours. Unfortunately, he's a flyweight, and TV don't really these days. I'm not interested in flyweights topping the bills at the moment. You know, unless there's something special.
Okay, Frank. Well, I really want to thank you for talking to iFILM London and having us and giving us a little bit of your thoughts for the end of the year. It's been a great pleasure. And yeah, is there any final message you would like to tell our iFILM London viewers?
I'll just say I think 2013 is going to be an exciting year for British boxing. There's a lot of fighters are getting pushed into world title fights who may not be ready. We may have a couple of champions, but one thing we will have, the heavyweight division will be exciting with Tyson Fury and David Price. And like me, as a boxing fan, take my not as a part. It's the fight I would love to see is David Price and Tyson Fury. That would be a great fight for British boxing. That would get world attention everywhere, and one of them two will go and become heavyweight champion of the world. I believe it will be David Price, but I'm sure a lot of people will argue with me. You know, one fighter we haven't mentioned is Danny Price, my cruiserweight.
Excuse me, I did want to talk about Danny Price actually.
I did give him a bit of criticism after his last fight. I was a little bit disappointed in certain aspects, but you know, I'm going to sit down with Danny and his trainer, go through things. He technically he's a very good boxer. He's a very, shall we say, cautious boxer. But he's got to realise now he's in the pro game. It's a bit more entertaining. He may have to take a few more risks. I believe Danny Price can become a big name in 2013 if he sits back and looks at everything and maybe just slightly alters his approach to pro boxing.
He's got some great support in Scarborough as well, so yeah, it'd be great to see him fulfilling his potential.
Well, we know Paul Ingles had great support at Scarborough, you know. I'd like to see him get a quarter of that support that Paul Ingles had. If he gets the same support, I'll be a happy promoter.
One fight I really would like to talk about is obviously Dylan the Villain White. A lot of people, it's been well documented. A substance was found in Dylan's blood, believed to be Jack 3D, which has been recently banned. What was your thoughts on all that, Frank?
Well, I was disappointed. I thought the people around Dylan knew what banned and what was substance. They told me it was a weight reducing drug. I don't know why a heavyweight needs to take weight reducing drug, but I'm not here to judge or condemn Dylan. What's happened has put his career back a little bit because he should have been on the undercard in Aintree against John McDermott for the English heavyweight title, and that would have been a very good fight. I would still like to make that fight. I'm still not sure what the judgment, or if Dylan has sat before the Board of Control yet and had his hearing, because I'm not his manager, I'm his promoter. But you know, when all is clear, if he wants to come back and really push his career, we'll get behind him, because you know, it wasn't a performance enhancing drug, but I am anti any drug in boxing, and I think any boxer who's found guilty of taking drugs, or any sportsman, has to be punished. I think I did blow my top when I was told. I was very annoyed about it all, because it was our chief support fight. Thanks. It was our chief support fight at Aintree, and we lost that. You know, it made the card a little bit weak. So you know, what can I say? I was upset. I hope, you know, Dylan's people and Dylan have now learnt their lesson. They will just stick to what they should. Like, I'm a great believer. Heavyweight just needs to drink water, maybe a little bit of protein drink. I'm not a great believer in all these substances that are going into boxers to build them up after weigh-ins and all these energy drinks. It's unnecessary. If you eat the right food, you train right, you take a few vitamins, and you take the right drinks. The best drinks you can make are the healthiest drinks, I believe. Make nice smoothies. I mean, I know Jose Mourinho had every drink tested at Chelsea, and the one he came at that was the most beneficial for all these footballers after hard training and everything was Yahoo, the milk. Now, I know and I've spoke to quite a few sports physiologists who have said that it's one of the best drinks. It's got everything in it. Let a boxer take that, you know, and I've seen some boxers starting to take that. Things have changed. I'm very old school, very old traditional boxing in the method that I like to use. You know, you've got these guys, you've got more boxers now who spend more time with fitness coaches than actually learning to box. That is one of our problems. That's maybe why we're not producing any more superstars or any outstanding boxers. Because, yeah, boxers are much, much more fitted than they've ever been. But they're not as skillful as our fighters used to be. And I think that's one of the problems in boxing. If I had my way, I would sit everyone down and go back to basics and learn. Make sure they learn tradition of boxing, learn proper art of boxing, learn little manoeuvres, little feints, little slips, how to turn a fighter, how to knock a fighter off balance. You know, that's better than turning over cars, doing all these fitness. I agree. You need a little bit of sports science. I'm not going to say you don't. You know, I'm not a caveman, so I know you have to move with the time. I mean, you know, I only got used to using fax machines. Then all of a sudden, emails came in. So you know, I had to adjust to emails. You know, you've got to look at boxing, and you've got to say, well, we'll take a little bit of it. That will help. But boxing is traditionally two men getting in the ring, trying to knock each other out, beat each other. That is the art of boxing. Now, so you've got to prepare your man for that. And, you know, give me a skillful fighter more than a fit fighter any day of the week. I would rather have a much more skillful fighter, or a fighter who knows how to deliver a punch, instead of relying on these brute strength fitness to get him through through the round. You know, I look at go back to the time when I first entered boxing. The most successful promoter in this country at the time was Mickey Duff and National Promotions. They were with the BBC. I don't know how true it was that. I was told that when satellite TV first came in, they were the ones that were approached, and they poo-pooed satellite TVs that would never take off. The BBC is the blah blah, all the normal thing. Look what happened to them. They went out of business, and the satellite TV took over. And you know, so you have to move with times. I've had to learn to use Twitter. I've had to learn to use Facebook. I've had to learn to use every method there is out there. You know, we've had to adjust to guys who write for websites who are not proper boxing journalists, but letting them in because we're getting more publicity out of websites than we do out of national newspapers. So you have to move and adjust to the time. That's probably why I'm surviving still, and Frank Warren's surviving. You know, I think Frank's maybe a little bit older than me and been around a little bit longer than me in the game. But you know, we're still here. You know, Eddie Hearn's new kid on the block. Will he have the longevity that we've got? We built our businesses purely on boxing. Eddie Hearns is not a pure boxing, and that's not knocking him. So I don't, you know, he's a sports promoter. He's a TV promoter. He produces for TV, and good luck to him. He's doing an okay. I think he's moving his fighters forward. Mick Hennessy, will he survive? No one knows. Will I survive? You're as good as your fighters you handle. You know, I'll survive as long as I've got David Price. You know, I don't kid myself on that. If David Price walks away from me tomorrow, maybe Frank Maloney will be out of business. You know, and that is the reality of this business. But I mentally prepare myself for them situations now. Before, I never.
Are you looking for the next David Price? Are you going to concentrate on the fighters you got? Did you see any new signings 2013?
I will look at them. Maybe the Loaded deals give me a little bit of enthusiasm. You know, I'm sitting with Loaded. Loaded may become promoters, actually, in their own right, and have fights signed to the TV, which might work. It's something we're looking at. We've got business advisors putting down proposals, and we're looking at them. Who knows what's going to happen in 2013? I will be around for 2013, then I'll make a decision at the end of 2013. I don't want to stay in the game forever. I would like to be out of the game within 2 to 3 years and enjoy and live on my memories.
Well, you are one of the game's great characters, and it would be a shame if we lost you and out of the game. And you know,
I'd always put back and do an interview.
I think there's still time to get a few more Union Jack suits made up. You know,
a suit with a liver bird on it. That's what I need made up. That would be that in a world title fight in Las Vegas would be the fashion pinnacle of the year.
I actually don't disagree with you. I think it would be an iconic moment.
And we've had a few of them, and that's, you know, people don't really understand Frank Maloney. I live for the moment. I live for the excitement. I live for the moments that, you know, I came into boxing just an ordinary trainer. I somehow grew some ambitions and some balls to try and take on the big boys, and I succeeded. You know, and I enjoyed it. I've had a great time. You know, I would never change a moment of what I've done in boxing. I've made some bad decisions. I've made some bad comments. I've let my mouth go into gear before my brain has come into gear sometimes. So, you know, but these days, if you say something, because of the internet and everything else and YouTube, you have to live with what you said. You know, and I said I have made some cock-ups in my time, and I'll probably make a few more before I finally call it. But you know what? I've enjoyed it, and I've met a lot of nice people in boxing, and I've met a lot of bad people in boxing. But you know, that's just the nature of the business. But I'm still enjoying it, and while I'm enjoying it, I will stay in there.
Frank, I want to thank you for talking to iFILM London and give us a bit of your time. We look forward with great pleasure to see what's going on in 2013, and like everyone else, I want to see the Price Fury fight, so make it happen, you know.
And I'd like to wish all the viewers of iFILM London a happy new year, and I hope we all get on. I promise the viewers out there, I'm not going to go around attacking other promoters or fighters next year. I'm just going to stick to my view, tunnel vision, to take David Price to the world title.
Well, Frank, don't let us stop you, because it has been very entertaining watching you rant and attack people. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is James Held with Frank Maloney for iFILM London. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.